And I only saw one Steppenwolf play, and I went. It was in the round, and me and my friend got really high before we went, and it was kind of like a sensitive subject matter, and I'm not going to say what it was because I laughed, and it would make me seem like a bad person. But we were like giggling so hard and trying to stop ourselves from laughing while it was in the round, and everybody. It like got so serious, and like we were just like trembling and like hitting each other to like both stop laughing, like stop laughing. Oh my god, yes, it was so fun and so awful at the same time that we were doing that.
That's so
we're
funny.
The worst.
No, I love that the end of that was, it was so fun.
It was so fun because you couldn't laugh, and it's so fun when you can't laugh and you're laughing.
Yes, and you can't stop, and you're like, yeah, it feels like such a treat.
Yeah, that's why comedy is inherently mixed with taboo topics, right? Yeah. Because like when you're like something's too dark or like ooh, a little bit like on the line of the edge, like that's where so much comedy happens because you're like, I'm not supposed to laugh.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I feel like that's, going back to what we talked about earlier, there's like this like challenge in the zeitgeist of like a lot of things are off topic or we need to be careful about. But there's no, yeah, I think we're like at a stage with a lot of things where it's like, then avoid it.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, can you find that safe spot and that levity and that joy in some of these topics that's welcoming and fun and not just being an asshole or being a naysayer about things that were like, well, these are like, good behavior things too. I'm being so vague.
No, I'm like, what are you thinking
out of safety. Yeah. Yes. But because there is so much that's taboo. It's a challenge for comedy, but it's also what creates comedy,
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting. So rarely am I like, don't talk about this.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's like, well, why are you talking about this? And what is it that you really want to say? Because I don't think that we're sick. I don't think that the idea is don't talk about a topic. I do think that it's like, oh, you don't have the experience to talk about that topic in a way that is nuanced, or you think just by like we were talking about with like the cheering, it's like you think by talking about this topic, you're doing enough, but you haven't done like the research into it, or like you think it's bad or good, but you don't have the point of view of why.
Oh yeah, man, I heard something the other day about breaking rules in general in life, and knowing you have to like 100% know the rule and like find the value in the goodness in the rule to break the rule. And like that's kind of true with comedy, right?
100%.
Like if you're like going out and just being edgy just to be edgy, you're probably kind of just being an asshole. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. It's like
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's like when someone tells you like, my friends tell me I'm super honest, and you're like, ooh, I bet that means you're just like
you're
mean.
Just mean. Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I don't know. It's so interesting.
But I interrupted you. Go on.
Oh, no. I think that's the end of that thought. But it is just funny that like when you're not supposed to laugh, that's often what makes us want to laugh.
Yes. Well, and what a joyful thing to watch. And I think that's it too, is like one of the first lessons is just emotion and showing emotion, because it's really the first rule that you get to break. Even before whether or not you're talking about a taboo topic, actually, if you say something in a scene and I show that I'm really upset or that I'm really hurt or that I'm really happy, that will get a laugh, because we know in society we're not supposed to show that much emotion, right? So it's like, we're inherently breaking a taboo just by reacting in front of a group of people, honestly.
Having a release.
Yeah, yes. It's like that's already really dynamic to watch, because it's something that so often we're not allowed to do, or so often the thing I find myself laughing about when I'm with my friends. It's like, I could totally see that comment made you mad. That is so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, as someone who's like God, I have such a dark sense of humor. Like
Yeah.
that's like often my taboo, right? Is like that I want to cross. And like it's so funny working with kids because like so many of the shows like I've like directed, I've been like, yes, go more dark.
I've seen those shows. They're very funny.
And it's just it's yeah, I'm like, I hope your parents are okay with this. And often they are, as far as I know. But like that's often my taboo of like I was just thinking about this the other day about like solo scenes that I have and like how many of them are like dealing with death or some like intrinsically awful like murder. You know, I have that one bit where the kid finds his entire family dead. And he's like, ha ha ha, I know this is just a joke, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's awful.
That is awful. That's such a funny scene, though.
So awful.
That's a good bit.
But I have a lot of scenes like that.
But it goes back, I mean, because you are not a dark person. I think it's interesting. You do have a dark sense of humor or like playing those. But I find in life, you are not a dark like it must be a fun thing to explore because you don't normally do that in life, right? Do I?
I don't know. I think I am a dark person in a I always and I have a few friends that agree with me on this, that I feel like I just listen, there could have been a few couple things that just happened in my life as a child that would have pushed me over the edge to being a psychopath. And I really think I don't think like I'm 36 now. I'm like, if I was going to be a psycho, I'm not a psycho, but I'm like, there's a couple things as a child that if you saw me, you'd be like, oh, that kid's going to grow up to be a psycho. And I just escaped. But like, there's could be a couple like conditioning things that like, had they happened, it would have been enough to push me over the edge.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I do think I have a very like, should I just tell on myself?
Yeah, I'm like,
I said this out loud the other day to like a couple people and I'm like, this is so awful. I just lull my brain to sleep every night thinking about a bunch of like machine guns, like shooting, not people necessarily. Just shooting things or like bombs like exploding and like destruction, like that just makes my brain, it's just like such a soothing like a soothing spot in my brain of like just imagining like going into like fight against like the Persians, get all the people off the ship. We're not going to kill people. This is not about killing people, but just like have modern day weapons and just get to go to town on those wooden ships.
I've never.
This is like it's not even a joke. This is how I lull myself to sleep a lot. It's just a relaxing thing for me. Is that fucking messed up?
I don't think so.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I don't know. I truly don't think would ever want to do anything awful, right?
No, right? I've never. I feel like there's something hearing you tell this where they say like the best characters like reveal something that is both like inevitable and surprising.
Oh no.
No. But like it makes sense even just to hear you say like I was lulled. Like it's not like it makes you excited. It's like a lulling.
Yeah, it's like it's very bizarre.
That's so funny. Did you, when you said it to your group of friends, were they like, oh, or were they like?
I think I said it to Eli. I think Matt told Eli because I've told my husband before, and Eli's like, yeah, that of course. Eli Weatherby is like the person I've collaborated with the most in like the comedy world as far as just like doing shows on stage.
Yeah, I like
what a sick, and he's a sicko too.
That's a perfect pairing.
Anyways, I'm embarrassed I just told on myself, but
no, don't be. I love it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I have. Yeah, I mean, I think this again just goes back to the beginning, which is like being nice and being positive, but also being like, oh yeah, like there's more there, and it does filter. It's not about hiding it. It's about like, oh yeah, that shows up in so much of the work I do is like these themes or this aspect of like sadness or like
of course we all have the capacity for violence. We are evolved creatures, just like fight for our survival. That's built into us. And so like, yeah, of course, don't act on it and don't like fan the flame every night you go to sleep like I do. But like, of course, like taboo. Oh boy,
My
told too much.
brother